Hi Sounders, it's Mick. Just a little few minutes talking about post-Coventry, now the dust settled. It was an interesting game, of course. I just want to talk about referees and refereeing in the light of that game. To start at the very beginning, the four guys who were on duty on Tuesday night officiating the match were in my lounge having a cup of tea before the game. Bog standard youngish blokes buzzing a bit before the start of the game and exchanging stories about different games they've been officiating in. I sort of listened in a little bit. From a distance, there was virtually no one else in the lounge. I was there very early, and of course they have to be there pretty early, and they kill a bit of time and have a cup of tea and have a chat. I realised that although they all knew each other, obviously, they weren't like a team. They just gathered together for a game. I mean, they'd covered all sorts of games since the start of the season, and they were telling each other about them, what had happened in different games, having a bit of a laugh, to be honest. And there they were, coming together for Pompey against Coventry. One of them was speculating how Portsmouth would cope with a Coventry side that looked pretty strong this year. In other words, they were having conversations just like the rest of us fans and punters were having. These are pleasant, bog-standard blokes, enjoying being able to strut their stuff in their privileged position that they hold on a match day. It's obvious that they do their best. But I think in this particular game, Gavin Ward, the referee of course, made a simple mistake. You can watch it on social media footage. You can watch it over and over and over and over again, as I have done. Amin Ayuk attempted a cross into the Coventry box, and Jay Da Silva leapt and raised his arm to head height, and the ball struck his arm. Meantime, as Ayuk struck the ball, Gavin Ward, our referee of course, took his eye off it. His head turned to the melee in the penalty area. As the crowd roared for handball, he turned his head back. Too late to see the offence. He gets no intervention from his assistants, and he's what is called in polite circles buggered. He's aware there's a problem. He can do nothing but ignore it. John Mousinho rounds on the fourth official, Stephen Martin, I think his name, and Frank Lampard, realising that there was a possible offence, quickly assumes a defensive mode and sneers Mousinho away behind the fourth official's back, infuriating our young manager. We could see that bit quite clearly from the south stand, the goings on the touchline. So that's how I believe that incident occurred. None of the officials acted badly in a game where you have to remember they had to make hundreds of correct calls over the 98 minutes of the game. I read a guy afterwards on social media stating, I'm not exactly quoting him, I don't think, but it's something like, I'd rather suffer 1,000 bad calls at Pompey than have to put up with VAR? Well, it's a view. It's a view, and for fact, probably a lot of you Sounders agree with. But I get it, but I'm afraid I don't agree with it. I welcome VAR in the Championship. I welcome it in any game of football. Once you have the ability to review moments like that, one is less than. I mean, what is it? If you can do it in less than 60 seconds, why wouldn't you? That's the point. Football officials need any help technology can provide to referee football, I would argue. Their authority depends on our trust. And Sounders, when we can see on our phones mistakes being made and play them back and talk about them ourselves, we will lose respect for the officials' ability to manage the game we love if they can't do the things that we can see should be righted. And to be fair, it's a game they love as well. There's no doubt about that. Those officials don't want to make these errors. Of course, on Wednesday night there's no VAR, and so all of us have to swallow the incident, and we do, and it's gone. And to be honest, the result of the game was fair, and the stronger team won. But Sounders, a Pompey penalty could have changed that game. So Coventry had built a platform last season, and it feels like they might have enough now to get to the promised land this time. Their defence was full of power, including the aforementioned Jay Da Silva. And up front, Thomas Asante looked the best player on the pitch. After having apparently an awful last season at West Bromwich, according to my Baggy's friend. That's football. And now we have to replace John Swift, who's suspended for the Stoke game. And, oh dear, Sounders, Adrian Segacic. The horrible prospect for that boy of another bad injury. Oh, what is it with these Aussies? That was my mate Russ Weld complaining during the game when Segacic had to leave the field. What is it with these Aussies? They come over here from a country fit, healthy, full of outdoor sportsmen, and they're made of glass. Matthews, Waddingham, Farrell, and now Segacic. Okay, so that's not fair, but it's equally not funny. At least Hayden Matthews was back on the park on Tuesday night, and a fine prospect he looks, I think. And we're just going to have to be patient. Not a quality I have in abundance, Sounders. At least Mackenzie Kirk has got off to a flyer. A quick start, a nicely taken, well-judged goal. Please don't get injured, Mackenzie. Take care, Sounders. Play up, Pompey.